Welcome to the ILM Solutions Podcast, where we discuss intentional living, self mastery, and solution filled stories. I'm your host, Mendez. Let's dive in. Today, we are going to be diving deeper into the topic of intentional living, not necessarily from a place of mastery or perfection, but from a place of literal peace, literal intention, how to show up for yourself and be disciplined in those actions, taking steps with true purpose that align with who you are at your core and where you want to be. It's very hard to navigate this, especially during these times if you are getting caught up in the noise of everything that is going on around us, because it's hard to not get caught up in it. Whether it's from the news, pressures of the world outside, pressures from work, pressures from home, family, and just day to day challenges, let alone what is going on a grander scale in the media, social media, politics, and everything around. Through this all, I think living intentionally has become a vital tool for me to ensure that I stay grounded and focused on what really matters without bypassing the realities of what's going on. I think it's about making choices that align with your deepest values and amidst the chaos, be able to stay true to that, to keep your promises to yourself so that you can continue to show up at your best physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So I want to share some insights of my own recent journey and tools that have helped me along the way in this lifetime. Over the past few weeks, I have been on a detox. Now, this detox doesn't just mean what's on my plate or what I consume and put into my body, but also what I allow myself to consume through my five senses, my ear gate, my eyes, pausing the scroll or stopping the scroll, intentionally logging off of social media. As I've stated, I am on a social media detox, but I've mentioned before that I have been essentially boycotting meta apps for personal reasons. And so I have been on that for quite some time and have primarily only been on TikTok and YouTube. But even so, over the past few weeks, I have decided to minimize those as well and essentially cut out the clutter and chaos. And while I know these are helpful tools, I think there are times in our lives where we have to take some steps back from certain things, especially if we are over consuming them. And that also, for me, meant listening to my physical body and detoxing from certain things that I was consuming. And you're going to laugh when I tell you, maybe not if you're a tea drinker, but I detoxed from coffee. Now, this isn't my first time doing so. This time was very divinely guided and divinely led, physically led, listening to my body. And I will say that I have personally felt some beneficial impacts from reducing or decreasing that. And so I'm not here to say you should stop drinking caffeine or anything or stop drinking coffee, especially, I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. I will likely return to drinking coffee, but will it become a part of my daily routine, daily morning routine, daily break my fast in the morning routine? Probably not, because I understand how it impacts my body. physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so that's just one of the things I decided to detox, including limiting, alcohol, limiting substances, carbonated drinks, things that on the daily you do not need, or I personally do not need. And so that's part of my own journey of one being disciplined and self mastery, but also just tuning into my intuition and listening to my body. It almost felt like my soul and my body was screaming for me to start to pay more attention to the things that I was consuming. And that also meant social media. And while we don't want to bypass what's going on right now, I do want to recommend anyone out there who is finding themselves with increased screen times, specifically on their social media apps. It may be time to take a break. It may be time to set some timers when you are on those apps. And so through this time frame, I have been reading, I have been being more intentional, being more mindful, increasing physical activity and getting back to things that are going to ultimately help me to be a better me and empower myself to empower others because I can't show up as I can't show up and be 100% for other people if I'm not doing that for myself. So think about this for yourself in your life. Where can you maybe scale back on some things, right? What obsessions, addictions, daily consumption of things, right? That you maybe hear, smell, see, taste that are not really good fuel for your soul. And it actually reminded me of a few books that I have read about living with intention. One of them being the book Living with Intent by Mallika Chopra. I actually had the opportunity of meeting her at the Pennsylvania Women's Conference way back when, and she actually signed a copy of my book, and I have a photo with her. And in this book, she introduces an acronym or a guide for purposeful living and living with intent. And the word intent as actually an acronym. I is incubate, N is notice, T is trust, E is express, N is nurture, and T is take action. And she highlights that our intentions are just goals and they come from the soul. It's literally about digging deeper, digging deep inside and getting clear on what truly brings you happiness, love, and purpose and peace. And I found that intentionality in every choice, everything that we do, the more that we train ourselves to do this, whether it's big or small, it can truly shift our entire life's perspective and even direction. And so that is a book that I recommend. Another book that I recommend is Ruiz Jr., The Mastery of Self. And this expands on the idea of, life being a dream that is truly shaped by your beliefs and your perceptions. And so we have to really be mindful of our thoughts and our feelings. And that is also a part of self mastery is knowing what we feel, right? And some people are not that self aware. And if you're not, professional help can support. For me, journaling has always been a big thing. But when we recognize that, this is what shapes our lives for us, we realize that we truly have the power to reclaim anything in our lives, to reclaim and claim it. And in the book, there is a quote where it says, "We each live in our own personal dream, and our collective dreams come together to shape the dream of the planet." And this is just a powerful reminder, especially during these times, for me specifically, to examine like our own dreams and ask yourselves like what are you creating and how is it aligned with your truest intentions, and also how does that shape in your life to support others, right? Is we're living in intent for ourselves, but is there a greater purpose that we can support, right? Supporting even something as simple as helping someone go take their cart back at the grocery store. you know, where can we also do good in this lifetime while we're also practicing self mastery and living intentionally? And these are just some things that have helped me as far as understanding myself. And that is really getting quiet, grounding, and asking myself, what do I need? And that calling came to me, whether it was in a feeling or a blatant message in my mind that said, it's time for a detox. It's time to, take a step back and be in hermit mode, like, the tarot card hermit. And this has called for a greater reflection of my daily choices, how I show up as a result in my day to day, my relationships, my career, my business, right? How I show up for the people that I serve in an intentional way. We just finished the Career Compass group. Thank you to everybody who, attended the group and the beta group who were part of it. um, Even with that, we started those sessions with mindfulness, right? We were there talking about career and job search and the modern day practices today, or best practices today, for career paths, or searching for a career path, pivoting from a career path, or simply just searching for a role. And we even started those sessions with grounding, mindfulness, guided meditations. And for you listeners, I hope that this is helping you maybe spin the wheels in your brain to ask yourself, like, where do I need to um, live more intentionally? Where am I not living intentionally? And so we want to be real intentional with everything right now. I mean, some people are even being intentional about their spending. Spending is power. It's a form of advocacy. And that's another way that I've been practicing intentional or intentionality of who gets my coins. What companies am I supporting? Where do I shop? Where do I buy? And how it truly impacts the world around me, right? Going back to how what we do shapes the world, right? And, maybe that's something you want to do too, is be mindful of where or what companies you choose or what businesses you choose that align or don't align with your value. And that's also living with intent, because over here we're supporting causes that we believe in. And it might be small, but it's impactful. It's a very impactful way of living intentionally. So shout out to us all who are out there making sure that we are living with intent through our spending as well. And really, whether it's eliminating coffee, alcohol, substances, carbonated drinks, you know, chips, um, soda, whatever the change is, it can be profound. And I feel that for me personally, I'm feeling a little bit more grounded, less chaotic internally. Incorporating daily teas instead of coffee has also been helpful. I do want to shout out Upful Blends. I do have a discount code with them. I'll share the link in the bio. They offer holistic blends of teas and herbal teas that can help you with your health, and even eliminating or decreasing alcohol. Another resource I'll share is Three Spirits, which is non alcoholic drinks. And I also have a discount code for that. I will share it in the bio. But these things help to enhance your well being when you are truly being mindful and intentional. And also, most importantly, it taps into that self mastery because it takes discipline to not get up in the morning and not crave, to crave the coffee and ride the wave of the urge to drink it. And when I say ride the wave, it goes back to my dialectical behavioral therapy days when I was a psychotherapist and a social worker getting trained in dialectical behavioral therapy, where riding the action urge, thinking of your urges to pick up your phone, your urges to drink that coffee, your urge to maybe have that drink after work, maybe ride that urge and not give in to the impulse. That's self mastery as well, because you're living with intent, but also practicing that discipline, which is the hardest. And so these are just some ways to support you, and I hope that it helps. Intentional living doesn't just stop with our choices, it extends into our environment and the relationships that we have and how we show up. The people that we surround ourselves with, the people that we follow on social media, if we maybe don't feel a call to take a social media detox or a digital detox, these are all things that have a massive impact on your energy, especially if you are an empath and you are absorbing rather than observing. Again, this is all, you know, a call, but I also want to say you can observe and don't absorb, but you can also acknowledge what's going on. So this isn't at all a call to bypass anything that's going on in our world right now, because it is pretty heavy. And I think it's vital to curate an environment that fosters positivity and growth, so ensuring that you are surrounded by relationships that nurture you, right? Relationships that fuel you and not the opposite and drain you. When we What we consume mentally matters. Doom scrolling, constantly absorbing negative news, or letting ourselves be bombarded by stress inducing content or content that's negative altogether can affect your mental and emotional well being. And I've found that protecting what I call my ear gate, right? Imagine there's a gate around your ears, and surrounding myself with uplifting content, or again, by not bypassing and, you know, choosing when to look at what is going on and setting timers, whether that's checking news stations or channels or blogs that I feel share content in a non biased way, and then setting the timer for that. Making sure that you're still paying attention to the causes that matter to you so that you can still show up from a place of purpose and a place of knowledge and true understanding. And whether that's books or podcasts or having conversations, all of this can be very beneficial for your well being. One of the books that I have recently read throughout this, what, maybe 3 or 4 week detox is, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's The Universal Matrix. And that book was a really great book in helping me to realize and remind myself the true power that we have within our subconscious mind, and our power to truly um, reflect what's going on internally, externally. So if what's going on is internally is chaos, then externally that is what you're going to see, and it's going to be a repetitive cycle, a repetitive loop. Same with, you know, what we feel and how we think. And if what we feel and how we think are always or constant in lower vibrations or lower moods or lower thoughts, then we create that reality for ourselves as well in our real world. And so just be mindful of your thoughts and emotions as well through this time. I think that we have to be truly intentional during these times to get through it. And I want to share one way to ground yourself in intentionality. It is the daily practices or the Reiki principles that I learned when I got my Reiki training with Vanessa Coronu, the Biz Bruja. I'm going to be going to her fall equinox retreats and I will be leading yoga there. So stay tuned for more information for that. But I'll share this. And as I share this, whether you are driving in a car or you are home listening to this, if you can take a moment to ground, maybe take a deep breath. If you're driving, obviously don't do that. Don't close your eyes or anything like this, but listen to the principles, or you can even look them up. And they go like this. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will be kind to every living thing. And these principles help me to stay present, focused, and intentional in everything that I do, reminding myself to cultivate these habits daily, no matter what's going on, no matter how I feel, and really being mindful of how I show up on a day to day. And so that is the episode. Before we wrap up, I want to thank you for being here. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share this episode. I want to share some things that are coming up. I already mentioned the fall equinox retreat, and that's going to be in Duncannon, PA. And I will be leading yoga for that retreat. In addition, tune in June 4th. I will be speaking on LinkedIn. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, it is exactly my name, Iris L. Mendez, during the Heal Her Conversation segment. Super excited to be featured on that. We'll be diving into empowering conversations. And as always, if you're looking to dive deeper, if you're looking to really ground in your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing, my book, Healing My Four Bodies, definitely is a great tool. You can find that on Amazon in addition to my journal, the Self Love Journal, and the Moon Journal. We just had a full moon yesterday, so make sure that you are channeling all of the magic of the moon. And I also want to shout out Mandalas for Busy Minds. This is a mindfulness book on Amazon, and it's a wonderful resource on mindfulness. And check that out. The author is Tela, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Remember that intentional living is not just a concept, it's a way of life. And when we align our choices with our values and stay grounded in the present moment, stay disciplined, and make mindful decisions, we can truly create a life that truly reflects our highest self and also ultimately keeps us well. And again, you can find me on YouTube and TikTok, although right now it's a little crickets, but I'll be back shortly. Tune in to the next episode of the ILM Solutions Podcast. I have some guests lined up, and if you want me to talk to someone or interview someone on this podcast, be sure to email me. If you're interested in being on this podcast, email me. I have a few people that I have to follow up with for the next few episodes, so stay tuned. And thank you for tuning in to the ILM Solutions Podcast, where we review all things self mastery and intentional living. Stay well.